Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to today's episode, and we are going to be looking at something embracing setbacks, building resilience and determination for goal achievement. Now, when it comes to achieving goals, it's not every time that things go the way we want them to. So, what do we do when we have setbacks? Do we just abandon ship or do we continue? When do we know what to do? And that's conversation we're going to be having today. This series started over a month ago, so today makes it 58 days we've been doing this series. The very first month we did 30 days on how to finish what you started, which simply focused on completing the goals that you've started, what gets in your way. And one thing we kept coming across was setbacks, 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 setbacks. So, how do you define setbacks? Do you define setbacks as failure only? And how do you understand setbacks in order for you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve? Before we get started or before we define setbacks, please let me know where you're listening from and how the audio is. Let me know if my audio is good and if you can hear me correctly, because there have been a couple of times where people have given feedback that the audio wasn't as fantastic as they would love it to be. So I would like to hear from you. How is the audio where you're listening from? Okay, let's get started. Setbacks refer to unexpected obstacles or challenges that delay or derail progress towards a goal. So you're on a certain journey, the goal that you're trying to achieve, something gets in your way and you have a setback. And once some people have setbacks, either they lose their computer, for example, if you're coding, or something minor could happen. Sometimes setbacks prevent people from making progress completely and they abandon their goals. That's why we're talking about how to get unstuck. So, how do you get unstuck when you have a setback? What are you supposed to do? And are there people that have achieved great results despite the fact that they have setbacks? And I'll start with three and I may end with three. The first person we can look at is Michael Jordan. He was cut from his high school basketball team before going on to become an NBA legend. If he had taken that cut from the basketball team as the final setback and said goodbye to basketball, we won't have the legend like Jordan shoes, or he won't have even been a legend in the NBA. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first job because she was unfit for television, and then she went on to build the own network as we know it today. Steve Jobs was forced out of Apple. Imagine being forced out of a company you started, and then he returned years later to lead it to his highly successful turnaround. So there are people in history. We're not just going to be talking about theories. We're going to be talking about practicals, how people have actually bounced back, if we're going to use the words of Rachel, bounced back from setbacks. And why is it important to have resilience and determination when it comes to setting your goals? At the beginning of this series, we talked about the things you should have. One of them was resilience, one of them was also determination. Why should we have these two things? And what's the psychology of resilience? What is resilience? And resilience to me is about the capacity to adapt and thrive in the face of adversity. Adversity will come, but how do you ensure that you are equipped to thrive despite the fact that you are receiving setbacks? It involves bouncing back after encountering difficulties or setbacks. Resilient people are able to maintain a stable mental well being despite stressful events. So, no matter what you're going through, you're able to maintain a stable mental well being. But is this rocket science? Is it easy? Is it that certain people are more equipped to maintain mental well-being, stable mental well-being when they are going through difficulties? Because we know some people that despite what happens, they are the most optimistic people. So what are some characteristics and traits we can learn from these people? Adaptability. We understand from these people that are resilient is that they can flexibly adjust to changing demands. So that adaptability prepares you to actually propel yourself forward when you've had a setback. Now, we're looking at setbacks, not failures completely, because a setback, we said, is something that prevents you from moving forward. So you're stuck. So one character you have to have is adaptability and optimism. Some people are so optimistic, even in the face of danger, you're wondering what is always getting you excited. So let's learn from these people that are I care. Let's learn from these people that are pushing despite the difficult situations that they are going through. Optimistic people are what you need in your side when you are going through difficulties. They provide the support that you need. So sometimes don't try and do it alone. We talk about persistence, not giving up, staying focused on your goal, keeping your eye on the prize, self efficacy. Now, how do you believe in your own ability? How well do you know yourself? So self-efficacy is believing in your ability to handle challenges and influence outcome through your own efforts. And this empowers your action. So how do you believe in yourself? How do you see your ability? Do you believe they are the person that, oh, no matter what, me, I can't overcome this? How do you speak about yourself when you are going through difficulties? And we talk about cognitive flexibility. That's how you see situations. Do you see the glass as half full or half empty? Do you see the eggs as broken or see it as an opportunity to create something? Sometimes when we are faced with adversity, that time we panic. We are not able to think straight. So sometimes when you're panicking and unable to think straight, you need somebody that can help you to see the silver lining in every single thing that you're going through. So cognitive flexibility is a skill that you need. It's just you that has to develop that capacity to reframe situations and problems and think about different ways to approach it. This helps you to overcome adversity. We talk about determination. One thing that many people tell me is that, DK, you are so determined. How come? Determination could be something that could be learned, it could be something that you are born with. So, what is determination? And you tell me your definition of determination. The reason I want you to define determination in your own words is because it's something I want you to adapt, it's something I want you to embrace. I want you to embrace determination despite what you may be going through. So, we said at the beginning that people have setbacks. You are about to achieve a goal, you're on a journey, and then you realize that certain things are not going the way you want them to. So you have obstacles, you have different things preventing you from functioning the way you should function. So what do you do in that situation? Is it easy to maintain focus and effort and motivation when challenges arise? And do challenges arise for everybody, or is it just a specific set of people that challenges arise from? The good news is that everybody faces challenges, and the bad news is that not everybody faces challenges in the same way. So the way you face challenges determines how you come out at the end. So that unwavering commitment and persistence to achieving your goals despite obstacles is what you need. And that starts with you understanding why you do what you do, why you are consistent, why you want to achieve your goals, why you are focused. It's not just about looking at one goal and then moving to another goal, but it's about understanding why you want to achieve what you want to achieve, why you're making a commitment to yourself. And this makes you unwavering. So when you tell you're trying to keep your commitment to your commitment, you're keeping your commitment to your commitment, not because I told you to, not because the books told you to, but because you understand that it is what you want to achieve, not what anyone else wants to achieve. And what are the traits of determined individuals that we can learn from? We talk about perseverance, resilience, mental toughness, self discipline, strong work ethics. These are things that we have looked at in the past 58 days. But one thing we've not looked at is grit. What is grit and why do people talk about grit? Is it just another keyword that people are mentioning, or is it something that can actually transform the way you get things done? Remember, our objective is simple: help you cross the finish line, help you build the resilience to ensure that you stay on track, ensure that you commit to your commitment, keep your commitment to your commitment, equip you with the skills that you need to get what needs to get done. So what is grit? And I think there's a book on grit, and there is a TED Talks on grit that I would like you to look for and listen to. I can't remember who did that TED Talk, but it's about perseverance and passion for the long term. So you are looking at the long term, not the short term. And the way for you to look at the long term is for you to have defined it, which is what we started with when we said define what matters. But if you missed it, we're going to be doing a recap on Saturday, on Sunday, and Monday. So it entails having stamina, resilience, and commitment in pursuing objectives despite obstacles, boredom, or plateau in progress. Now, let's talk a little bit about boredom. There are sometimes that your goal is not going to be exciting. You're going to get bored. You're going to find days that you don't want to do it. You're going to find days where you just struggle with achieving anything. You're going to find days where it's just not possible for you to achieve what you want to achieve. You are bored, you're frustrated, and you don't want to do what needs to be done. However, if you are serious about achieving what you want to achieve and it's something you want to achieve for yourself, despite the fact that boredom will come because you've defined what will happen if boredom happens, but when boredom occurs, you can overcome that phase. If there's plateau in your progress and your balance shifts or something shifts, you are able to use the data you've gotten to get back on track. So what about grit do I want you to think about? I think it's about persistence of effort, not just persistent, but persistence of effort on the right things. So you're persistent. Some people are persistent and they are persistently busy, but you're busy being busy and you're not getting any results. But persistence of effort, we are looking at it with regards to the work that needs to be done. It's having the tenacity and determination to work hard and keep going in spite of challenges. And you're working hard on the right things. You're not discouraged by setbacks because you're doing the right things. Another thing that people forget is about consistency of interest. Despite the fact that you get bored, your interest needs to be consistent. Yes, if you're maintaining focused enthusiasm on your goals over years and decades, it gives you so much more motivation and inspiration to get things done. I tell the story of how I started my journey with just being an interest in blogging, and that has transitioned into what it is today. But it was consistency of interest where I knew that I was going to invest in my own personal development. And I kept doing things to ensure that no matter what, I was just taking one step at a time, but I was measuring my progress. Now, overcoming failure. Many people are scared when they fail. When they fail, they just want to go and hide. But if you view failure as an opportunity to learn and grow rather than a reason to quit, you will definitely succeed. What happens when you fail? What happens when things do not go the way you want them to? How do you improve when it seems that all your efforts have failed? It starts with the data. We're going to talk about that and at the end of this session. But this is what I will say. Overcoming failure is not something that you force, it's something that you do gradually. The first day you might be disappointed that things didn't go the way you wanted them to go. Sit in that, but not for too long. Acknowledge where you are. You need to be self aware. Acknowledge the fact that things did not succeed, then learn from it. Don't quit. I always say pause, don't stop. Most times when we are on the journey, rather than pausing, we stop and then we go back to square one. Sometimes going back to the beginning is just to learn, but when going back to the beginning is just to say, or going back to another project entirely, you are abandoning the project that you have evolved or developed for so many years just because it did not succeed. And when you have what you're going to be doing from failure is focusing on improvement. How can you improve? How can you become a better version of yourself? How do you focus on improving yourself? It's about learning from your own mistakes. And I like the way this was put. It's pursuing mastery over being the best. Sometimes we want to be the best and give the best rather than mastering what we're doing, rather than learning from ourselves. But that having those internal benchmarks for success based on personal growth rather than external benchmarks. Yes, the external benchmarks are there, but sometimes the things that you are learning, the person you were on the first of July is different from the person you are today. You may not have achieved the result completely, but there are certain benchmarks that you may have put for yourself. For example, one benchmark I put for myself was going out for 12 weeks every Thursday and going live every day in June and 10 days in July. I have done that for 7 days now. Today is day 8, and I did that for 30 days back to back. So the results externally and internally were there, but I looked at the internal things that I have grown from. So sometimes don't just look at the external, but have the big picture in mind. Remember why you started. Why are you doing what you do? Why do you want to achieve your goals? Why do you want to be the best version of yourself? Why do you want to write your book? Why do you want your story to be told? Keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the prize. Keep the end goal in mind. even amidst day-to-day efforts. I think our Elrod talks about the way you do this is by visualization. It's about having an opportunity to look at your vision board and actually envision what you want to achieve. Then sit down to get the work done. So you're not just moving fast, but you are moving at a pace that is good enough for you, but your eyes are on the prize and there's incremental growth, small increments. These are just a few strategies I feel that everybody needs to know when it comes to building resilience and determination. I don't want to spend so much time here, but I'll talk about them briefly from the bottom. It's about boosting your mental agility, identify and apply character strengths that fuel resilience, like bravery, honesty, and perseverance. One thing you should not do is lie to yourself. So when you're reflecting on what you've done, because all these things come back to reflecting and taking action, reflecting, changing, taking action. Emma calls it repeat, rinse, resume, something like that. But then you have to leverage your strength. Use what you have. Don't always look at what you're not good at. There are certain things that come to you naturally, as we've discussed before. So we're not going to really talk much about this. Cultivate optimism and hope and focus on desired future outcomes. This is something that you need to do. It's something that you have to make yourself do. It's something that you have to be intentional about. It's not something that's going to happen overnight and you just wake up and snap your finger. But there are some things that you have to keep on investing in yourself gradually that would eventually lead to what you want to achieve. When it comes to developing a growth mindset, we've talked about it in the past, but it's about understanding that a fixed mindset says this is the way this is and I cannot change. This is who I am, I cannot change. A growth mindset tackles limiting beliefs, it tackles imposter syndrome, it tackles all these things that prevent you from being the best version of yourself by helping you invest in yourself. And we've talked about setbacks also, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. But see setbacks as opportunities for growth. Have you experienced any setback recently? When we get to the path for reflection, I'll tell you what to do if you're experiencing a setback currently. But see them as opportunities for growth. Think about the lessons that you can gain. See failures as feedback. What are you getting feedback from? Data. See failures as feedback. How do you overcome self doubt and fear? Now, doubt kills more dreams than any other thing in this world. Most people, their dreams die because of doubt, not because they don't have the money, not because they don't have the skills, not because they don't have the connections, but because they doubt their ability to do it. They are afraid of what would happen if they fail. They are afraid of what will happen if they try. They are afraid of what will happen if they succeed. Fear and doubt are killing more dreams than any other thing in this world because it brings anxiety, it brings depression, it brings so much that prevents us from functioning. So, if we want to grow, we should understand that these doubts will come. These doubts will come. MSAC failures as fuel. Right. Yes, failures as fuel. I agree. These doubts will come, but when they come, what are we going to do with them? We need to first of all identify the way we talk to ourselves. So let's take a little exercise. Think about the last setback you had, because we're going to talk to your inner critic now. Think about the last setback you have, the last time you felt low. It may have been 5 minutes ago, it may have been 5 years ago. But when something did not go the way you wanted it to go, you wouldn't have called it a failure, but you just were not as successful as you wanted it to be. The project did not go the way you, the approval, the client, one thing or the other. You had one setback. So think about that setback for a few seconds. So what we're going to talk about do now is identify the limiting beliefs and negative self-talk that is holding you back. So when you had this setback, what did you say to yourself? What are the words you said to yourself? Not just the positive. What are the negative things you told yourself about yourself when you failed, when you did not succeed, when you had a setback? You need to list these things. And this is not a time to be in denial and say, oh, I don't have an inner critic. I'm not good. I never tell myself I'm not good enough. I think I am the best. Most people have an inner critic that prevents them from functioning the way they should function. Now, the way to grow is by countering that voice. Is by, first of all, acknowledging that that voice exists, then countering it with positive affirmations. So if I tell myself that I'm not a good graphic designer, I can never be good. What are the words I will speak to myself that make me realize that my work is good? Are there examples of times that I have succeeded or people have admired my work that I will use as fuel to remind myself? You are holding yourself back with negative self talk. Until you counter negative self talk with positive self talk, there is no room for growth. Until you counter the inner critic that is preventing you from moving forward. Because, yes, you can give yourself feedback, but your work is not always the worst. You are not the worst person on earth. You are not the one that is always failing. You are not, nobody is praising you. There are words that people have spoken to us and we speak to ourselves that actually kill our dreams first before we even take a step. So let's talk to ourselves. Let's actually face these things once and for all. That's the start. Let's face it. Now, you're facing it by countering it. I will say, what's the opposite of what you've spoken to yourself about? Write the opposite. And for me, I will go a step further and add a scripture to it because I like adding scriptures that will help me to think of myself in a positive light. So when you get the negative, counter it with something positive. And there are other strategies, like I've already talked about, that you can use. One is building on past successes. Where did you do well? What are the positive feedbacks you've received from people? Surround yourself with people that will speak love to you, not just people that will critique every single thing you are doing. Celebrate progress and small wins. Yes, everything may not be successful. The project you're working on may be a long-term project, but you have to have milestones where you can celebrate progress, like we said, and small wins. Something happened today and someone was like, DK, you were able to do this live and you were able to do this. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't able to do it the way I wanted to, but I still am going to do it before the 30th. Visualize yourself succeeding. Have you seen yourself as a successful coach? Have you seen yourself as a successful player? Have you seen yourself as a successful social media manager? It starts in your mind. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as someone that people are going to pay what you want them to pay? And sometimes it's finding inspiration in others' story. Join a community, find other people that are on similar or on different journeys that you can learn from. I give examples of NBA players, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs. You can learn from other people's success stories and learn from it. Try self-compassion, be kind to yourself. And then one thing you have to realize is this: I have a secret. Recognize fears as normal, but don't let them define you. Everyone goes through periods where they are afraid. See it as something, stop trying to fight the fear by resisting it completely and say, I'm being in denial. Everybody goes through doubts and fear, but don't let them define you. I love this quote and I just had to put it there. The path to confidence is taking action despite uncertainty. You're going to have uncertainty no matter what, even with setback. Nothing is 100% determined. You're going to have to take risk. You're going to have to take action despite uncertainty. That's what I want you to do. I want you to take action despite uncertainty. I don't want you to stop. I want you to keep moving. Then, now, let's turn setbacks into step backs. And what do I mean by this? Why am I saying step backs instead of setbacks? Step backs has a more positive connotation because it sounds better. You're stepping back to view. It implies just taking a slight step back or pause on your path towards rather forward rather than being completely derailed. We've talked about the story of the tortoise and the hare. If the tortoise are taking a step back, you will have still won that race. But if you decide to derail yourself and go to other places and you're not learning from yourself, it's going to be impossible for you to succeed. So the idea behind turn setbacks into step backs is about reframing setbacks as temporary pauses rather than total failures. Remember what I said, pause, don't stop. So when certain things happen and you see it as a setback, you have to define what setbacks are to you. Then see it as an opportunity to pause and learn and then resume. Setback will give you a different perspective because you tend to learn and evaluate the situation By pausing, you take a step back, you're able to see things that you would not have seen before when you were running fully. So, and one other thing that I love about step backs is when you step back, you could use this setback as an opportunity to adjust your approach or trajectory rather than abandoning your goals. Because sometimes, rather than abandoning your goals, I will give an example now. You need to just change the way you do things. So, for example, when it comes to morning routines, I talk about morning routines a lot, and sometimes I stick to mine. But there are certain days I can't stick to my morning routine. So rather than abandoning the morning routine, I'm always making attempts. I came across a video on TikTok, and the woman was talking about having different morning routines for different days. The day you have high energy, the day you have low energy, the day you are. And I'm like, I need to have 6 morning routines then at this rate. The day I have a flare up, the day after a flare up, the day where I go out and I've had a lot of activities but not flare ups, the day I have energy, the day I don't have energy. So I have 6 different morning routines. Now, because of that, I can resume that morning routine strategy and still gain something wonderful from it. So rather than abandoning things completely, we need to learn how to see it from a different perspective, adjust your approach rather than abandoning your goals because your goals are valid. Then it's about maintaining forward momentum overall, even if you take a slight step back here and there. So we said we're not seeing it as a setback completely, but we're stepping back to observe and learn. It's about focusing on the bigger picture. So when we focus on the bigger picture, we are getting better results. We are learning from each other. And overall, that word keeps coming, resilience. Resilience. That's a word you need to have in your dictionary. One thing people will use to describe me is determined and I'm resilient. A step back view of setbacks emphasizes that temporary, surmountable nature as part of a longer journey rather than a permanent failure or catastrophe. Most times we see setbacks as a permanent failure. We are like, I failed. And sometimes when you fail on a project, that doesn't make you a failure. It just means that that project you did not succeed, but that doesn't make you a failure. Thank you, Nafisa. Only Nefisa is here from the team. So Nefisa gets something. The rest, I said everybody should tell me when they're around. And one thing I like about this is this. When we see step backs as temporal, we do not fail. Sometimes when things don't go the way you want them to go and you fail, for example, most of us call ourselves failures. So I'm a failure. I failed my master's. I failed my PhD. I failed my BSc. Those are the words that we use. I want you to reframe the way you refer to yourself when things do not go the way you want them to. I wanted to see them as setbacks, but step back and review what happened so you can be prepared mentally to move forward. So this month you did not succeed in doing what a client wanted you to do. Your designs were not on point. Step back to step forward. Step back before you take a step forward. It's about mentally move. Before you mentally move forward, you need to step back. And like I said, do not stop, pause. Most times we stop rather than pausing. It pause so that you can reflect. And what are you going to be reflecting on? You are going to be engaging in self reflection to learn from the past. And this is all based on data. It's based on data that only one person has access to, you. You are the only person that has access to your mind. You are the only all that has access to your actions. Other people can see the external things you did and say, oh, this person was dedicated, she did this. But it's only you that knows your attitude to work at that point in time. Only you knows if you gave it your full attention, if you did every other thing you were supposed to do. So you're going to learn from data by asking yourself difficult questions, but being kind to yourself, being honest and being vulnerable with yourself. No one is going to see these results. No one is going to know the questions you're asking yourself. If you want me to come up with questions that you can ask yourself that I ask myself, I can do that. Remember, when we talk about our personal productivity system is based on 3 reflections: a daily one, a weekly one, and a monthly one. This deep dive is different from those three reflections. Why? It's digging deeper into every single aspect. Your attitude to work, punctuality, your mood, your health, your emotions, every single thing is taken into consideration when you are doing this deep dive. Why am I calling it a deep dive? Because it can't be done on the surface level when you want to learn from data, because we want to transform these obstacles that we've seen into opportunities. But the only way to transform obstacles into opportunities is through data, and the data is derived by you. So it's about sitting with yourself. When last did you have a quiet time with yourself to ask yourself difficult questions about how you acted? Do not blame your coach. Do not blame your mentor. Do not blame your lecturers. Do not blame your boss. Sit with yourself and accept responsibility for the role you played. There were 25 days, working days this month, okay, or 20 working days, okay. What did I do? Did I work every day? Did I show up? Did I party too hard? Did I do this? You are being honest with yourselves, not so that you can critique yourself and demolish yourself. No. The reason we're doing this deep dive, and I just called it a deep dive as we're working, is so that you can learn from the data that exists and make that transformation you need to be the best version of yourself. The best version of yourself only comes when there is honesty and transparency. So before we talk about how to turn obstacles into opportunities, you still have to understand what the obstacles were. Were they things external or internal? Were there times I was distracted? Did I spend more time on social media? Okay, let me look at my phone analytics. Oh, I spent 30 hours on TikTok in 1 week. Okay, my TikTok this month was higher than any other month. I spent time on threads. I was on Twitter. I was watching Big Brother Nigeria. I was distracted because of football. You are being honest with yourself. Why am I asking for this honest reflection when it comes to identifying obstacles, or looking at setbacks, or looking at failure? Because that's the only way to learn. That's the only way to grow. That's the only way to improve. And no one can do this for you. This is not something you can outsource. There are certain things that I would say outsource. Yes, there's an opportunity for you to discuss with your friends, but before, because you have blind spots, you can't see every single thing. But before you go outside to ask your neighbors, what did I do? Ask yourself, what did I do? And be honest. So how do we turn this thing? And all these things start with you reframing your mind when you have obstacles. View the obstacle as a challenge to overcome rather than a setback. See it as a chance to get creative and build skills. There are certain obstacles that I have had. Canva was an obstacle for me when I was doing Bible study. I decided to learn how to create flyers. Now that has influenced other people to start using Canva, and that has also improved the way I get things done, has led to me publishing my books and designing my books myself. Analyze deeply, look at the obstacle from different angles, break it into specific parts to fully understand it. There may be hidden opportunities within it that you did not see before. Because you've done your self reflection deep dive, you can now look at these obstacles very well. Get innovative. Don't say, okay, I looked at it only from this perspective. I only took talk. I'll talk about me. For example, I don't know when I'm managing. I struggle to bring clients in, so I've dedicated managing of the team to somebody else. So I need to get innovative. I need to brainstorm. I'm there to do that. And I talked to my mastermind team, and they were like, "It's a good idea, but brainstorm non-obvious solutions." Flexible thinking and imagination can unlock unique ideas. Ask yourself, what if this worked? Okay, what if this did not work? What if I added this? What if this? Ask yourself what if questions when you're trying to get results. Another thing I would say is discuss the obstacle with fresh perspective. Like I said, I did with my team. I discussed my obstacles with Eme, with Bolu, with Folakemi. I'm calling names because I've built relationships with these people and I trust their perspective. Discuss, build intentional relationships, form your own circle. You can join the commitment circle if you want a circle of people that can listen to you and help you build together. But build your own team if you can. You need that community that is dedicated to personal growth and development and learning if that's the journey that you are on. It's also about finding the silver lining. It is difficult. See, when you are in it and you're going through that obstacle and everybody's saying, find the silver lining, you are not seeing silver lining. All you're seeing is pitch black. All you're seeing is that there is no cloud, there is no sun, there is no star. How do you find your way out in the middle of darkness? When everything that could go wrong, in the words of Mary Mary, all went wrong at the same time. Your laptop broke, your phone broke, and you work from home. All you do is work with clients. Okay, you have a camera, you're taking your camera, all the images you got for that client have been corrupted, and you're just wondering, what am I going to do next? I've paused the settings on my camera. The only settings I remember, everything that can go wrong at the same time. Sometimes a fresh perspective is needed. Sometimes you have to have a positive approach no matter what. Just give yourself a chance to evaluate. And this is what I will say. I want you to have an in depth reflection session with yourself. Like I called it a deep dive. You know about all the things we've talked about, your attitude to work, all those quizzes that we've taken in the past. Bring them together, take those quizzes about yourself, understand where you did well and where you did not. And this is not a time for you to shoot yourself in the foot because you did not do well. An in depth reflection is different from the ones we do weekly, monthly, and daily. This is an opportunity for you to understand what you did well and what you did not. This is your own personal performance review. No one can do this for you. You cannot outsource it because try as much as I may, even if I ask you the right questions and I probe and I give you a questionnaire, I cannot read your mind. I cannot tell your intentions. I cannot tell you if you actually gave 100%. The only person that can do that is you. So when it comes to setbacks, see setbacks as an opportunity to step back and learn in order for you to move forward. In order for you to move forward, you have to understand that you need data, and this data can only be gotten by you first before you talk to others. Understand yourself more than any other person. Remember, doubt and fear kill more dreams than money. Some people don't lack money, they lack the ability to believe in themselves. So even if they are given $1 million, they still will not succeed because of doubt and fear. So if that's what you're dealing with, deal with the demons you're dealing with. Do not neglect them and push them aside and wish them away. They're not going anywhere until you fix them. So face them and take it one day at a time. So, thank you so much for listening to me today. I'm not sure the quote that Nafisa said she liked. I think it was the one about, I can't remember. But thank you so much for listening today. And MS said, failure is a fuel for you to learn from. I agree with that. But I've come to the end of today's session. So we meet again on Sunday night. We have two more sessions. Sunday night at 9 p.m. and then Monday night at 9 p.m. Two more sessions for this month. Then we'll take a break till I think the 9th of August and meet every Wednesday. I'm not sure, but I will definitely communicate that with you. Thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful day. Bye. Thank you so much, Nafisa. Hope it was useful for you. And I'm still going to give the others a couple of minutes to write that they were on this call because we said everybody should check in today. So hopefully they are all here. All right. So I am off. I'm going to fight off with StreamYard for chat. Hey, see me. Hey, see me. I've forgotten that this is not Zoom where we're all just chilling and chatting. This is a different platform. So for those that think I'm always professional on LinkedIn, hi, my name is DK Dalkuru Jonah. Other people call me Kuru, and I'm signing out before I start dancing. All right, bye guys.